Most people associate Nokia with mobile phones. What you probably didn't know is that they also made Walkmans like this one. But why? And why were they branded after such a controversial company like ITT? Let's jump into it. Nostalgia for the era in which you were young is almost inevitable, and yet the general consensus tells us that there was something very special about the 90s. The Berlin Wall was just taken down, the Cold War was over, and so was the fear of an imminent nuclear Armageddon. China opened up its market to the world, and the US economy was thriving. There was a global sense of peace and prosperity that was being powered by one of the greatest inventions in human history, the Internet. Parallel to this breakthrough was the early development of mobile phone technology, and back then, when Google was not even founded and Apple was more than a decade away from releasing the iPhone, we had Nokia. The Finnish company was the best-selling mobile phone brand in the world by 1998, and in 2007 it had 50% of the market share. But Nokia was not always in the telecommunication business. It started as a pulp mill more than 150 years ago in the town of Nokia, south of Finland. In 1922, it entered into a partnership with Finnish Rubber Works and Finnish Cable Works, and the three later merged to create Nokia Corporation in 1967. It was only in the early 1970s when the company slowly entered the networking and radio industry, but the biggest business transformation in Nokia's history came with the appointment of a new and now legendary CEO in 1977, Kari Karamo. By this time, Finland was becoming what has been called Nordic Japan, and under his leadership, Nokia courageously acquired several companies. Karamo's mission was to build Nokia fast into an internationally large multi-industry conglomerate. Acquisitions like television makers Alora and Oceanic made them the third largest European TV manufacturers. This diversification also led to the purchase of Mobira, a mobile telephone company which was the foundation of its future world-leading mobile phone business. So what about this Walkman then? Well, that was not until 1987, when Nokia acquired Germany's Standard Electric Lawrence, which included two well-respected audio and video brands from Berlin, Schaub Lawrence and Graetz. These two companies had a long history of manufacturing entertainment electronics gadgets, like transistor radios, cassette players and TVs. Just 1 year after the acquisition, Nokia released this model, which was called Nokia Flirt 735. It's a bare-bones unit with absolutely zero features. It doesn't even have a reverse button. If you want to rewind a song, you have to turn the tape around. The sound quality is also uninspiring, and the playback mechanism is rather loud. I found this unit in mint conditions on my local eBay, and I was very interested because it was the first time that I've seen the brand Nokia on a portable cassette player. Since then, I've been trying to find out more information about this model or any other Nokia Walkman, but without much luck. Two things I did learn. One was that this unit has most likely been manufactured by the sub-brand Graetz, because the name scheme Flirt was used by them since at least 1965 for their portable radio line. And second is that they also released different models, which included more features like radio and auto reverse. But what struck me the most was actually the ITT Nokia branding. ITT, or International Telephone and Telegraph, is a New York conglomerate that's 100 years old, and during its history, it held many different subsidiary companies from a wide variety of markets all around the world. One of them was actually Standard Electric Lawrence, the later manufacturers of this Walkman, but ITT sold it to a French company in 1986, and that company sold it to Nokia. So why did Nokia keep the ITT naming in their products? Because of legal reasons? I'm sure it was not for marketing purposes, because ITT was always a very controversial and shady company. Just to name a few dark moments in its history, we have its founder and president promoting the development of its European subsidiaries into arms factories, which turned into a huge business with the rise of Adolf Hitler. He was actually the first American industrialist to be received by Hitler, and was a financial supporter of the SS under Himmler. ITT owned 30% of Focke-Wulf Aircraft Factory, which built most of Nazi military fighter planes, and when the Allies bombed Germany, ITT presented itself as a victim of the war and actually managed to obtain $27 million in compensation from the American government for war damages. ITT also owned Brazil and Chile's major telephone companies during the 60s and 70s, and when they feared that a new government would nationalize their business, they supported a military coup on both countries, which led to extreme right governments for years. They had very close ties with the CIA, and even a former CIA director ended up working for ITT. Every time they've been to court, they said that their contacts with the Nazis or military de facto governments in South America were businesslike and sensible as an effort to protect the property and interest of its shareholders. A real class act. You might think, okay, that was a long time ago, the corporation probably changed. Not quite so. In 2007, ITT Corporation became the first major defense contractor to be convicted for criminal violations of the US Arms Export Control Act. The fines resulted from ITT's outsourcing program, in which they transferred night vision goggles and classified information about countermeasures against laser weapons to engineers in the People's Republic of China. So we can agree that there were a few reasons why the Nokia Walkman never made it to the big leagues. The build and sound quality were miles away from the Japanese models of that time, the ITT branding was quite spooky to say the least, and they didn't even give the chance of continuation. In a very sad episode in 1988, the year of the release of this model, Kira Karamo, the CEO who wanted to make Nokia a multi-industry corporation, took his own life. Only 3 years after, the company scrapped most divisions, including audio, to focus solely on mobile phones. Flash forward 20 years to 2008, Nokia would lose the battle against Samsung and Apple, and the lack of diversification might have been the nail in the coffin that made the company unable to ever recover. I hope you enjoyed the video. So technically the Nokia Walkman was nothing impressive. I don't even think they were really trying to come up with a competitive product, but that's what makes it more intriguing. Anyways, thanks for watching. Until next time.